Washington finally has a team name. Praise the Lord. They are the Washington Commanders, and that name has been met with a lot of online internet hate. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Jim Harbaugh saga. Looks like that's finally coming to the end. Harbaugh back in Minnesota today. It's his second interview with the Vikings. It's currently 3 o'clock Eastern. By the time the interview is over, whenever that is, I believe they will have a deal in place to make Jim Harbaugh the Minnesota Vikings' next head coach. But when it comes to the Washington Commanders now, I actually like this team name, and I just want to go on a quick rant against the people who wanted to keep Washington with no name, basically just calling it Washington Football Team. There were a lot of people that said, we don't need a name, just keep it as Football Team. That's not a name. There are 32 football teams in the National Football League. There's no nickname. If you say Washington Football Team, it's just Washington. Football Team is a nickname for every single team in the NFL. I do not understand. They're like, people say, oh, it's a good name. There's no name. It's just Washington. Washington Football Team. Football team, there are 32 football teams in the NFL. There's no name there. There is no name there. And then they change it to Commanders. And this is my theory on these name changes. We saw the Indians go to the Guardians. The Redskins go to the Commanders. You know, because it's new, people hate it. People make fun of it. But could you imagine if the Cleveland, whatever they were, let's just say Cleveland changes, announced tomorrow, they were changing their team name to the Browns. You would think it'd be like, Browns? What is a Browns? That's, it's so weird, but because we're used to it, it just rolls off the tongue. Browns, Lions, Steelers, all those names, you think they're weird, but because we're so used to them, in 4 or 5 years, people are going to be used to the Commanders. The logo, once again, I don't understand what their obsession is. It looks like a lowercase W that's trying to be uppercase. It's a terrible logo. I don't know why they continue to go with that type of logo, but overall, I am happy they finally have a team name. I mean, I would just call them Washington. I'm not calling them Football Team. If I address a team as Football Team, somebody could think I'm talking about the Lions. You could think I'm talking about the Browns. There's 32 football teams. Football Team is not a nickname. I don't understand. You just have to call them Washington. That's all I've been calling them, is Washington. Now it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. People are ripping them. Again, it's because we're not used to the name, so people think it's terrible. Once you get used to it, it'll be better. They've been getting ratioed on Twitter and stuff, but I thought that was just funny. The other big thing, Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan, heading to the Vikings. That's been pretty much confirmed. He's wrapping up his second interview. They're flying him out on National Signing Day. It should have been, that's a dead giveaway. You're flying out to go interview for an NFL job on National Signing Day. He's back in the NFL. I don't know when it's going to be announced, today or tomorrow after this interview. My video might be getting uploaded while the news comes out that Jim Harbaugh is going to be the next coach of the Minnesota Vikings. There's been reports that Jim Harbaugh plans to sign with the Vikings already. So that's going to be happening. If you're Michigan, your number one enemy now is the transfer portal, because we saw what happened, and Oklahoma was a little bit of a different situation. Lincoln Riley stayed in the college ranks. It's not like Jim Harbaugh is going to another college program and poaching all of his recruits, but still, this immediate eligibility transfer portal, it's dangerous, man. And when you go through a coaching change, Michigan, you're going to want to try and keep as much talent as possible. It'll be interesting to see who they hire as their next head coach. You take a look at some different odds. Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator, plus 300. Bill O'Brien, plus 400. That would be a flop. I would want no part of Bill O'Brien. And then Matt Campbell, who's practically rumored to go to every new opening, plus 500. Some interesting odds there. Other interesting odds, the Buccaneers need a new quarterback with Tom Brady retiring. Teddy Bridgewater, plus 400 to be the next Buccaneers QB. How the mighty have fallen, right, with the Bucs going from Brady to Bridgewater. Jimmy Garoppolo, plus 500. He's going to be gone out of San Francisco. And then Jameis Winston, plus 1,500 there. Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo is plus 300 to be the next Steelers quarterback if traded. If I'm a Steelers fan, I want no part of it. I don't have anything against Jimmy G, but I am a Browns fan, and people were talking about, is Jimmy G an upgrade over Baker Mayfield? If Baker's healthy, I don't think he's an upgrade at all. Nothing against Jimmy G. He's an okay quarterback, but I would rather have Baker and his higher ceiling than what Jimmy G currently offers. So if I'm a Steelers fan, I think going to Jimmy G would be a lateral move from Big Ben Roethlisberger, even in the last years of his career personally. And this quote by Nick Saban is such a clown. So here's a quote today on National Signing Day. Nick Saban says, "I hear these crazy people on TV who say now you're doing it above board. We never did it. We never did it. We never cheated to get a player. We never paid players to come to our school." And Nick Saban is totally delusional. He owns a car dealership. And back in 2010, 2011, 2012, there were multiple 17-year-old five-stars driving around in $75,000 cars. Hugh Jackson has recently come out, and after the Brian Flores lawsuit where he said he was paid to lose games, Hugh Jackson suggests he was paid for extra losses as Browns coach. None of this stuff really doesn't surprise me. Again, I said in my last video, the Brian Flores lawsuit, you know, it's better to go 1-15, get the number 1 overall pick, get your franchise quarterback, than it is to go 3-13 or 4-12. The irony of the Brian Flores situation, where I understand Brian Flores saying, "You're making me lose games, that's ridiculous, that's going to look bad on my record," but the irony of it is that the year Brian Flores was instructed or incentivized extra money to lose games, they ended up kind of overachieving, winning a few games that were meaningless, ended up with the 5th overall pick, got Tua, and we know the number 1 overall pick that year was Joe Burrow. There was also a weird report that the Miami Dolphins were willing to trade. They had like 3 first-round picks or something. They were willing to trade 3 first-round picks for the rights to draft Joe Burrow, number 1 overall, and the Bengals declined that offer. Just something interesting there. How many times will Roger Goodell be shown during the Super Bowl? So just during, not after, not before. The over-under set at 1.5. You gotta love Super Bowl prop bets, don't you? I'd probably go over. They're gonna definitely show him early in the first quarter and then maybe late fourth. But that's also during. It's not like after the game they show him whatever. So an interesting prop bet there. Super Bowl prop bets, they're crazy. Maybe I'll do a whole video on just different random Super Bowl prop bets. How long will it take USC to make the college football playoff? I would probably say 2 seasons. Caleb Williams' second year with USC. The reason Caleb Williams was such a big recruit was because he was a true freshman. I've said it before. So he's going to be playing starting quarterback USC this year and next year. Going into his junior year, Caleb Williams is probably going to be the favorite for the Heisman. He's one of the favorites right now. I think he's 3rd on the list for the preseason 2022 Heisman, behind just CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. So I would say USC in that, in that conference, very winnable. You've got some okay teams. Utah should be good next year and then kind of come down. They've got a lot of seniors that'll be graduating. Oregon's always decent, although they lost Mario Cristobal. I say USC makes it in Lincoln Riley's second year, when Caleb Williams is a junior. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Jim Harbaugh, as I'm recording this, not a done deal yet, but I think news will break. I'm sensing something. I think Jim Harbaugh will be announced tonight as the next, the news will break that Jim Harbaugh is the next coach of the Vikings. Also, the Washington Commanders name getting a little bit too much hate. People hate change. Commanders, ooh, that's weird. Guys, in 4 years, nobody's going to be thinking. It's just going to be another NFL team. The Commanders are just, it sounds like an Arena League football, nickname, doesn't it, right now? It's because we're not used to it. Calm down. That's all it is. We're just not used to it. We're going to get used to it. It's not a big deal. It's better than not having any name. Again, the people that were saying they should stick with Washington football team, there's no name. It's just Washington. There are 32 football teams. When you refer to them as football team, I don't know if you're talking about the Lions, the Patriots, the Packers. I don't know who you're talking about. You can't refer to Washington as a football team because there are 32 football teams. You need to specify it with a name. They've done it. People are freaking out. Oh, the Commanders are bad. Guys, stop overreacting. Give me a break. You'll get used to it. It's not a big deal. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.